Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I am a Western astrologer and twin flame channel, and this is a video about the Aquarius new moon taking place on January 29th at 7:35 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Super exciting new moon. Here it is at that 9th degree of Aquarius. And I forgot to mention, this will be the twin flame lunar update for this particular lunation. Whether you consider yourself twin flame, divine counterpart, in a soul connection, or being with a soulmate, all that matters is that you have been activated by love and identify that your life is now on a new trajectory as a result. You'll find that this particular lunar update resonates for you. It does function as a part two to the Lightworker Energy Update, where I give the full picture of this new moon. Definitely have a listen to that first. And come on back to this, since this is the part two. A few quick announcements. I'm getting ready to launch my next workshop for the Divine Counterpart and Twin Flame Collective this coming Saturday with an early bird invite and pricing for those on the private list this Wednesday. Definitely get on the private list to be the first to know. This workshop is specifically designed to help those who are either stuck in separation, back and forth patterns, who've never met their twin flame but know they're on this path, and those who are already in some format of union but thinking about coming out of union or giving up because there's still too much triggering and healing going on. If this is you, get on the private list so you can catch the early bird pricing. It will launch to them this week and the YouTube community this coming Saturday. Yesterday, I did a Twin Flame 2025 energy update with Made for Love with some important themes and dates that I have not talked about on this channel, but will as we go. But if you'd like the big picture, I strongly recommend that you have a listen to that, specifically if you're a fellow way shower for the Divine Connection community, as it will explain why you may be seeing what you're seeing in the field at this time. Link for that is in the community section. The February calendar is now open for those who'd like to book for Valentine's Day readings or look at the year ahead in love. And for those who listen to these intros all the way to the end, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you listen to an ad, thank you. If you thumbs up these videos, thank you. If you have subscribed, thank you. For those who share super chats or tips with me, thank you. I cannot do what I do without you. I share what I share at the start of these videos because doing readings and offering classes is how I make my money. I don't get YouTube paid. So, with that in mind, I really want to say I deeply appreciate everyone who takes the time to listen, because you are what makes it possible for me to keep doing what I do. Let's get into this new moon's energy. We see a conjunction to Mercury and Pluto. Over here, also in Aquarius, we see a trine to Jupiter here inside of Gemini. We also see a trine to Makemake, Shaman's asteroid there in Libra. And we see a square to Vesta there in Scorpio. In summary, this new moon guarantees some level of shake-up, change, and new direction in connection, mainly because of what's happening with Venus, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, and Juno at this lunation, which I detailed in great depth in the Lightworker Energy Update rather than the new moon itself. So, definitely have a listen for that if you want to understand the breakup, the shakeup, the wake up in connection, collectively speaking. But the new moon itself is bringing forth deep insight that expands quickly and allows us to take advantage of lessons learned and put them into action. This new moon challenges our investments and commitments, which can be a good thing if we've been stuck in a rut, but can be a hard thing if we've been operating without investment and commitment, been a little too chaotic, super unfocused, or generally operating with a lack of follow through. The energy of this new moon can activate activate a ton of mental energy. So if you know you're already that way, doing things to ground yourself, calm your nervous system, and reconnect with your body will go a long way in allowing you to stay grounded. But if you've been at the opposite end of the spectrum, too attached, too locked in, too focused, gripping too hard to the status quo, this new moon can help you break up the autopilot with some revelations you can't unsee and take a step forward by assisting with the release of emotional attachment that is not serving. Okay, so that's the summary on the new moon. For greater details, you know where to go. Let's talk about what the divine counterparts are doing at this lunation. We're going to start with Juno. The energy I read is the divine feminine, as she is the prime goddess of Mount Olympus in the mythology. She is now sitting in Scorpio, preparing for a retrograde activity. She goes retrograde in March, and then she'll go direct in July, which means she won't leave the retrograde zone until October. She's going to be basically camped out in Scorpio all year. This is going to take us on a very long, in-depth journey of all things scorpionic in our lives. Now, get in where you fit in, because this could mean many things for different people. Some of us will be dealing with an ending, a learning, and then a resurrection of something that needs to be rebuilt in totality in order to have a healthy opportunity to expand. Now, others may be dealing with some fear, shame, and rage, as these are indicators of where power has been abdicated. I've spoken about this at length in this channel. I certainly spoke about it at length in some of the collabs I did this week. Definitely check those out if you want more details. If fear, shame, or rage have been a problem since Juno went into shadow in December. Others of you will be dealing with a lot of second chakra, sacral chakra, sexuality issues as Scorpio deals with this particular sector of our lives. If there have been challenges in physical intimacy, trauma in physical intimacy, blocks in physical intimacy, we are our own first partner. Juno retrograde inside of Scorpio will surface these things so that you can deal with these things. Scorpio also deals with what we call other people's money. Grants, credit, loans, taxes, inheritances are all covered under scorpionic energy. Some will need to take advantage of this retrograde to clean up, rectify, and smooth out challenges in these financial areas. I gave all the dates in great details in my live update with Made for Love. Definitely check that out if you'd like to go deeper on these topics and know more about what I mean. However, at just this Aquarius new moon, we definitely see this new moon is opposite Uranus here in Taurus and trine Mars retrograde there in Cancer. This is going to facilitate some interesting energies, and it is a key feature of the Juno retrograde because this is what's causing a breaking up, a shaking up of stuckness in connection. We may see some unprecedented actions in the divine feminine energetic fields, and we may literally see things in a new way in our connection from a totally different vantage point than previously considered. We may also do things in a new way that we've never done before. We may also experience something new from the counterpart. Uranus is the energy of divine mind and divine action. Uranus is the energy of divine change, and speaking directly to Juno, which represents commitments of the partnership kind, as well as divine feminine energy. This can facilitate change in the partnership. Okay. Since she is the source of connection itself, the connection itself for many, and I would say most, is going to undergo some sort of change at this time. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. Our orientation to change is what makes it difficult or easy, and our mindset is what makes it hard versus good. Take positive view, take positive action. You'll see this work out to your benefit. Okay. Now, whether you're in some sort of separation or some sort of union, I'm going to speak to both of those camps momentarily about what this means. But first, I want to add a layer. We see Juno is also trying to Saturn, Nessus, Venus, and Neptune all over here in Pisces. We see Saturn, Nessus, here's Venus, here's Neptune, all hanging out there in Pisces. Now, this adds an element of fixation to the mix. Those of you who have what would be considered a stalker, take extra care at this time. Again, went into detail about that in the Light Worker Energy Update. But for the rest, this can have us fixated on our elevation and moving the connection forward with the Uranian component and committed and dedicated to change from the Saturnian component. For many, this is calling the 5D into the 3D, bringing heaven down to earth, birthing your higher self into your experiential reality. You're already seeing and sensing this pull in your own field to be a more spiritually and emotionally congruent and aligned and whole version of yourself at this time. There can be a sense with this of no going back to who you used to be or how you used to be. Now, some are going to project this onto the counterpart and say, well, I'll never go back to that person. That person was the problem. But the truth is, when we change when we change who we are in our own identity, the way the connection displays itself and performs in the third dimension also changes. So rather than focusing on leaving someone behind, this is a great energy to use to become a version of yourself where 100% of your relationships have to perform differently because you're no longer the person who can be treated in certain ways. Okay? So that's the gift with this energy here. Conceptually, if that sounds very interesting to you, that's this topic I'm going to be taking a deep dive on in the workshop I'm getting ready to launch at the end of this coming week with my spiritual mentor. We're going to co-lead that workshop. We also see a square to Ceres and Chariklo in Aquarius. And so here they are. Here is Chariklo, here is Ceres. Ceres wants to create some closures here. Thank you so much. But this is a closure of mindset, Aquarius, and emotional shadow, Scorpio, where Juno sits. Chariklo guarantees a blessing comes as the result of this change and closure. The universe is like sighing a relief here. Finally, they're ready to grow in this area. Now we can deliver the package she requested, because they've ended what's not aligned with them receiving it. And so energetically, again, there's this vibe here of quantum leap forward and the universe having our back as we do it. We also see Juno is in sextile to the Mercury, Pluto, Pallas situation over here in the chart. This is going to provide some deep awareness, understanding, and insight. Communication will also reflect the mental state of deep awareness, understanding, and insight. Now, for some of you, this can be where some difficult truths that come forward here and ultimately liberate us. That Gloria Steinem quote applies here. The truth will set you free. But first, it's going to piss you off. This is certainly a piece of the way this energy can work. Okay. Now, for those, let me get into my two camps here. For those of you identifying in some format of separation, all the things that I just described going on in the divine feminine energy field can apply in the following ways. For some, this may be where you really part ways with someone who has been unavailable to you and begin to move toward available love. Your step forward is toward releasing the label twin flame, soulmate, divine counterpart, and instead living in love to such a degree that you're willing to let them go if their true happiness lies elsewhere, with a belief that even greater love then this can exist for you. For others, this is where you start to see some significant mirroring around why you're in separation and identifying the runner in you and the blocks you have in the third dimension that prevent union energy. Your step forward is learning what you need to do to turn toward yourself and dismantle those blocks so you can end the mirroring cycles of in and out. There's a similar frequency in the divine masculine energy fields right now. For others, this is where you may see the counterpart come out of nowhere, making a lot of the right noises and ready to try again. Your step forward is facing any unforgiveness that's been a shield for fear, so that fear doesn't sabotage this right back into an old pattern. Thank you, Neptune, Venus, and Saturn here. Forgiveness is going to be a key feature of this new moon. And for others, this is where you may recognize you're ready to move toward your connection in a new way, perhaps after a long time of keeping it at arm's length. Your step forward is making a decision and following through with it. Once again, thank you, Saturn. Thank you, Uranus, speaking to Juno. Make a decision and follow through with it, especially if you know in your heart and mind you always end up going back to this person no matter how many times you back away or challenges present. This time around is about learning what you need to do to stick and stay and work through the challenges and bring your counterpart into the process with you so they can understand and support you. And for others, this is where you step out of healing and into having. Your step forward is activating your faith that even in your imperfection, even in your so called unhealed state, you're not only believing, you can believe that not only are you worthy of a love of this magnitude, you also have the power to create it and call it in. That's what we're going to be talking about in the workshop I'm launching this week, so stay tuned. If you need any help seeing your pathway, you can also book a reading for the February timeframe now so that you know what to focus on this year so that this is your last year in separation of any format. Okay. Now, for those of you identifying in some format of union, and we're going to get to what's going on in the divine masculine fields in a moment, so hang tight. But for those of you who identify your connection in some format of union, this is where you may get a revelation about the root of certain sticking points in the connection, either a previously unknown trauma, unidentified mindset, or hurt from the past could be revealed for you. Your step forward is revealing it to your partner and letting them see the part of you that needs to be held. And if you're hearing these things from your counterpart, it's your step forward is to be gentle, non-judgmental, and take what you're hearing seriously. For others, this is where you may get clarity about financial changes you and your counterpart need to make for the future you want to have together. You guys' step forward is about getting the financial support you need as a couple to make decisions that enhance the present and protect your joint future. And still for others, this is where you get revelation about your physical needs with regard to intimacy. If this is the case for you and you identify in union, your step forward is to begin the process of cultivating healthy outlets for your sacral chakra life force that honors yourself first. As I mentioned, we are our own first physical partner and also honors the connection. Your step forward is also to get support where needed from qualified professionals who specialize in trauma of this nature, reproductive health, or physical intimacy for partners. Lastly, for those of you who identify in some format of union, some of you will be working through attachment issues while in relationship. This is where you may see some old attachment patterns come up for deeper resolution. So if something comes up, Rather than breaking up, your step is to communicate about what happened that triggered the old pattern. Now, of course, you're going to have to talk about the impact and the hurt feelings, but it will also be as important, if not more important, equally important, I should say, that you get to the root of why the old pattern showed itself to begin with. What happened? What was the trigger in this instance? And if need be, get support from a coach or therapist that specializes in attachment issues. Okay. Uh, you know where to find me if you need support, guys. I'm at kmoonastro.com. Now, that felt intense and heavy. Lean in and listen for the divine masculine energy within you, because it holds the key to levity for all of us collectively at this time. We have Jupiter, the divine masculine energy, retrograde inside of Gemini. This is bringing collectively a sense of exploration, curiosity, communication, inquisitiveness, options, a wait and see mentality rather than forcing foregone conclusions. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy that allows us to see things from multiple different vantage points. Thank you, Gemini. This is the gift of Gemini energy. Jupiter in Gemini enhances these features. We see a sextile to Chiron and Eris there in Aries here. This is ensuring that we've learned from where we've previously been hurt, and that we are also releasing rejection wounds and stories, and including ourselves where we've previously counted ourselves out because of painful experiences in the past. Okay. The sextile allows us to get the light side of both of these energies. Eris specifically deals with disenfranchisement and being left out. Chiron specifically deals with abandonment, where there is any sort of self-victimization energy or thinking here, this sort of putting yourself in the position of feeling like you're always at the short end of the stick. The sextile between the divine masculine energy and these two is inviting us to self-consider, self-elevate, learn from those experiences about what we want and don't want, and step up in our lives. Okay. We also see Jupiter in square to Saturn and Nessus in Pisces. There they are at that 17th degree of Pisces. Jupiter is squaring them. This has a very balancing effect. It gives us a lot of hope while also helping us take necessary, grounded action, especially because Mars is speaking to both Jupiter and Saturn. Now, here is Mars right there. We want to take the action with Mars there. Simultaneously, Saturn wants to solidify actions taken. Jupiter wants to give us expansiveness. There's a very beautiful balancing energy. On the one hand, we are going to need to be careful about doing too little. Jupiter and Gemini energy can either get stuck in perseveration or vacillation between two different ideas or points and do nothing in the shadow. It can also be in a place of not knowing when I've explored enough and opened enough tabs and on the web browser and just need to pick one. Okay. Now, in the light, though, the Saturnian energy is balancing that out and saying there are really only so many options that are aligned and congruent for you. Honor yourself, honor your truth. Okay, so this can be very balancing. Okay, I really love the Nessus feature here, and there's Nessus once again, because Nessus keeps us committed to congruence with our spiritual and emotional truth at this time. It forces our hand when it comes to our own insistence on being whole as we move through any processes right now. It also forces us to focus on what's real and true in our hearts, not just what we can see with our eyes that might cause us to be in panic or fear. I can't tell you the number of times in the last 2 weeks as we have started this year, I have been asked the question, okay, is the world going to be all right? Because this seems crazy what I'm seeing with my eyes. I will tell you for a fact, yes, we are going to be okay, but things are not going to be the same. Things are going to change. And it's in our divine masculine energetic fields with Jupiter here that we get the opportunity to explore, well, how can I make the changes work for me? What can I create in this new era that will allow a new version of me to thrive in the new energy? Okay. The Nessus energy really helps us step into our own commitment to our thriving. And the square gives us the motivation to figure it out by making things too uncomfortable to stay the same. Okay. Now, with that said, this energy has a gentling component to it. So if we've wandered off into letting our emotions get overwhelmed with catastrophizing and awfulizing because of what we're seeing, this energy can help us see the big picture. Thank you, Pisces, and remind us to act from higher spiritual truth, not just an emotional windstorm or dust up. Okay. Jupiter is also trine the new moon, Chariklo and Ceres here in Aquarius, which I love to see. And it's also trine Make there up here in Libra. So combination-wise, this grand air trine makes for a lot of newness in our divine masculine energy fields. This is where we get the courage to do a new thing and say no to conforming to ruts if they aren't working. Thank you so much to Aquarius and Gemini for giving us ideas for the new. And thank you so much to Make and Libra for saying, you know what, I learned my lesson from that. That doesn't work, but this instead potentially could work. It certainly makes us more collaborative and focused on win-win solutions. Love this energy coming through our divine masculine energetic fields. Okay. This energy brings an energy to both counterparts of insisting on being different with self and with the other. So a lot of mental energy in the divine masculine energy fields at this time, because with the grand air trine, we're talking about thought forms and communication. Much of it is going to be about self-renewal as well as community engagement. Aquarius deals with friendship groups, colleagues, communities, unions, this sort of thing. Gemini also deals with smaller groups, siblings, cousins, neighbors, soul family. There's a lot of movement here about quantum leaping for the divine masculine energy at this new moon. Use this intentionally to break up patterns in your life that you know have held your life and connection hostage to the same old loop. Now, for those of you identifying in some format of separation, some of you are going to identify changes in family, sorry, not family, in friend groups, community affiliations, and colleague groups at this time. Some of you may even be leading these sorts of changes. For you, your step forward is to trust that the changes will benefit you. It's also to trust that everyone is not going to be ready for what your journey has prepared you to guide others through or to move toward now. That's not a signal to back up or back down. It's a signal to speak to the people who are ready and allow others to come in as you go and grow. Others of you who identify in some format of separation in your divine masculine energetic field, you will get the aha that in order to take any next step in life, doesn't matter what area of life, any kind of next step, education of some format is needed. A degree, a certificate, a training program, an online course, or weekend workshop. And you will find that this new moon helps you find that right support. Google is your friend to move into that education and training, and trust that if you take that education and training, you move into that area of life and elevate yourself, Love will meet you there. Now, others of you will find, if you're in identifying in some format of separation in your divine masculine energetic fields, you're going to get the revelation that there has been heavy mirroring between you and your counterpart, as mentioned in the divine feminine energetic fields. We can thank Aquarius and Gemini for that, Libra too. Your step forward is to begin the shift in yourself so that you can alchemically shift that issue in the connection, as within, so without. Lastly, some of you are going to get the revelation that coaching or therapeutic support is needed to break up stuck states of consciousness when it comes to relationships in general, romance and platonic. Your step is to get that support, because if talking to yourself would have created the breakthrough, you would have been there by now. There is a need for new ideas, fresh perspectives, and a learning container so that all of your relationships can have more trust, truth, and openness. Okay. Now, for those of you who are identifying in some format of union, for you guys in your divine masculine energetic fields, the revelation may be that you need to change up your friendship circle to be more supportive of your connection. Your step is to either have the necessary conversations with your friends and let them know you got to stop trying to take my relationship down or taking my partner down. I need you to be more supportive. Alternatively, your step is to stop having conversations with people who consistently undermine your connection. Now, for others of you who are identifying in some format of union, who in your divine masculine energy fields, there could be a revelation that maybe you or your partner is ready to step into some format of leadership together with everything you've learned, and that now is the time to share it. Even if it's not perfect, you'll learn as you go. Your step is to get the work off the ground with this new moon by taking action together. Divide the labor to make it easier, but don't delay. Get moving, because there is a great shaking up of life on planet Earth for humanity at this time, and people definitely need you. For others of you identifying in some format of union, you're going to get the revelation that maybe some new format of relationship is where you and your partner are headed, one that may look unusual or unconventional to the outside world, but is definitely a win-win solution for you and your counterpart. Your step is to implement a way to do a trial run. Try it out, see if what you and your partner discover, set a date to make adjustments in the future. So how you and your counterpart run your relationship is nobody's business but your own. If there's something that could work for you two that doesn't necessarily make sense to the outer world, it's okay. You're here to be way showers. And lastly, for others of you that identify in some format of union, in your divine masculine energetic fields, you may realize there is a restlessness and lack of personal fulfillment in one or both individuals, and the connection is taking the brunt of that restlessness. Your step is to get going on the unutilized personal potential so that greater inner fulfillment can create greater harmony in the connection. Hopefully that was all clear. Lots of major steps forward at this time for divine counterparts. You can find me over at K-Moon Astro if you could use some support with any or all of this. Link is below this video. And if you're really resonating with this awareness that you really can cultivate and create the kind of connection you want, definitely join me for the workshop that I'm about to launch this coming weekend. It was designed with you in mind. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing. It is my honor and honor, privilege, and pleasure to be here and do this with you at every new and full moon. I also want to make sure that I say to you how grateful I am for those of you who watch these introductions. It makes such a nice difference. Um, Basically, to my bottom line, I got to be really transparent about that. Because I'm not YouTube paid. I am reading in classes paid. YouTube like if I had to live off of YouTube, I couldn't, so I would need a job and then I wouldn't be doing YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. It's so much fun to do this. Look for our all signs later on in a week from today, so week from Sunday. Can't wait to share that with you. Take great care and bye for now.